Hi, Monica and Sandeep. Good morning. And we will be waiting for a couple of minutes for others to join.
Mm. Hi, sir. Good morning.
Okay, let's proceed with our training. And today, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, sure. So let's proceed with our class. I think we have been already been talking about the servlet config and the context already. We have already spoken that this is just belongs to your servlet, and remember this service context belongs to your applier application. This belongs to your application. Now let's see the programs of our servlet config. Servlet config, suppose you have the web.xml, the servlet config is defined. Remember, I had created another servlet, I think, yesterday. Let me check. Yeah, the servlet 2. Let me give me the proper naming convention. This was my servlet 2. Suppose I'm giving, and for multiple servlets, I have to write this type of programs, like you can give a name. Say, let me give a name to that particular servlet called servlet 2 servlet, uh, or you can give second servlet or something like this, or servlet 2. Let's just give us the name as servlet 2. The example that we have the class name as servlet 2, it is under the examples package. So let's do servlet 2, and also we need to give the servlet mapping. Suppose this servlet 2, and let us give a unique name or unique URL pattern. Let's say it's servlet 2.2, 2.2. Suppose I have given already this. Now you can check. Now you can check if I want to give a particular this one is not correctly spelled. Leave it. I don't care if it is correctly spent or not. Anyways, let's go to the web.xml. Now you have these particular two servlets that you defined in your web.xml. Now remember when we were talking about the servlet config, then we have written that this is one per servlet, because if you define it in one servlet, you cannot be getting that, means the life cycle won't be present in another servlet. So suppose we are doing in the servlet class. Suppose I'm doing here. See, I'm doing inside this particular servlet. So instead of this, let me give something called init param. Uh, Now I have to give a param name. See the param name. Suppose it admin email, and this is param value. The value is something called abc at the rate gmail.com. Suppose if I'm giving, this is my servlet config that I have defined. Now you can check. This is a key pair value. This is a key and this is a pair value that has been stored. Now remember, whenever we told that servlet config, this particular gets loaded during the deploy time. So whenever I run this particular this will be stored in the memory in the form of the key and pair value. The key is admin email, and this is going to be your abc at the rate gmail.com. So to get this in your servlet, let's say if you do it like this, do post we have already. Okay, so it was a medium, then I think it was, yes, if it was medium, then it was redirecting me. Now let us check if I want to get this particular servlet context. Suppose if I am doing a sysout here, let's sysout here, and I am doing a something called get. You can check servlet config dot get init parameter, and I need to give the key name that I had given as, I think I had given as, where it is, okay, here it is, admin email. So you can check to check how I'm getting those parameters. See, if I'm doing it, get servlet config get init parameter inside admin email. Now let's check this. Let us close all this that we had. So that we can have only the servlet. Okay, see, now when I've given, you can check again how I've defined the servlet config. It is init parameter. Remember, initial parameter, I've given the param name, I've given the param value. And to get it, see what I've done, sysout dot get servlet config dot get init parameter, and I've given the keys name, that is admin email. So let's check this program. suppose I'm choosing light, and here also I'm choosing it light, and then I'm printing it. Let's check in the sysout. See, it has already printed me this called abc@gmail.com. You can see that I'm printing it. First, it has printed me that get content type. That was your form. If I remove this and something I write it here, if I write it, then I restart my server again. Light and heavy, maybe brown if I'm giving it. See, the servlet config is abc@gmail.com. Suppose if I had written the same code here also in the beer.html, if I had written the same, just copy and paste this, and I had written something called here in the select also. I told you this is my second servlet, and see, the config parameter has not been defined. This is one per servlet. I'm using it in the second servlet. I'm trying where this has not been defined. My second servlet has been defined here, not here, and this init parameter has been defined inside this servlet. So if I had used this particular, the similar code in servlet 2, and from beer.xml, I'm going to pass this, I'm going to pass this particular called servlet 2. I'm going to pass this and let's check what happens. Let me restart it, my server. You can clearly see that has been defined inside one servlet, so it shouldn't be used. Let us submit this and check what has happened. Okay, just wait a minute. This is giving me another ABC. I've got to the servlet 2. The post method, it shouldn't print me. Some other mistake I am doing. Okay, it is not printing me this particular called. See, I have given here in the second servlet, it is not printing me. It is going to this be a select only. I do not know why this has been. This is not taking this servlet too. It is going to this particular called BS select where it is servlet config. Here I had given the name as servlet in the second. Let me do it again. Something is happening with this. Cleaning it. Okay, then I'm starting it again. Maybe did I save it? No, this is not taking me this class. Why? This particular do I have given and this particular called servlet 2 multiple list. Select 2. It is taking me. Mhm. If I remove this as of now. Maybe I'm doing a silly mistake somewhere that I'm not able to. Yeah, error in standing this. I have removed this. Check now. Clean. Add or remove. First I'm removing this and I'm finishing it here. Okay, I'm cleaning this my server. It has been. Now let me check. Run as server. Just then I'm giving it. Okay, it is giving me an error because of I've defined inside my bean and the problem is I'm giving it, suppose the server here, the beer.html I have given servlet.2.2 and here I have servlet2.2. It must take this particular servlet, but it is taking the select beer. I'm not sure why it is taking the old instance. Why is it taking me the old instance? Now it is telling me the select peer dot do. Let me remove this and then add it again. I'm going to remove this. Then I'm going to delete this. I'm going to add a new server again that I have already. Now I'm doing giving it this. Then I'm running it again, and then I'm doing a submit query. This is can anybody tell me means if you are able to get it where I am doing the mistake because the action I have given it here servlet 2 dot do and it is taking me to that particular called select beer dot do. I'm not sure why this is not reflecting. Let me just control C, delete it from where this session or something is taking care. No, I am bringing back this. Type is equal to submit. I've given the body color, the servlet 2.do. Now if I'm running the server, anyways, I will look into this afterwards because you can check. Even if I'm giving it something called anything here, uh, in this particular called beer.xml, if I'm giving something called anything, then anything like ABC or something if I'm giving, and then I'm running the server again. See, it is printing me this servlet config this because it is going. It is. I'm not sure that why this particular. Let me create another beer1 HTML. beer1.html, and if I had given here the same thing as beer HTML, and here if I had given servlet 2 comma 2, and in my web XML this is silver characteristics, maybe 2 if I am giving it here, to understand if again this particular old servlet is being called. And servlet given this, and this I'm going to do beer1.html. Let me check. Still I have the, if I have the old instance, it's taking me the beer.html itself. Even if I give the beer.html, maybe somewhere it is storing. Check the deployment properties. This is also then, listeners are already there. Let me create another project. Dynamic web project. I don't know what happened to that project. Project 2. Okay. Now let me copy this. Okay. I've already copied this. Let me copy the Java classes. Example. And this particular jar inside my leaf folder, and let's run this. Let's check. Okay, it has my servlet.2, it has my beer.xml, and let's run this program. I'm removing this. Add and remove. Okay, remove this. I'm finishing it here. And let me close this project. Previous one. Let me add this. Okay, it has told me that the URL is not been found because I've not given the JSP pages. Now let me close this project. Let me run this. See, now it is printing. Now it is coming here, beer.to. Now if I'm submitting a query, you can check when I'm doing it here, this particular called uh, select to beer in servlet 2, when I've given this particular called uh, this servlet config dot init parameter get in the servlet 2, as my web XML says. Web XML says that inside only the servlet name called beer.select you have defined it, then only you are giving this particular example, or you are giving this particular init parameter inside this beer.select. When we have done the beer.select system out, we have seen it was printing me abc@gmail.com, and when I'm doing to try to do it in the servlet, this servlet to see, it is printing me this particular called null. Now let me check if I had done, because is it taking me the once created, is it going to take me this particular, or there was something error, or some, if I had done something here again, if I had given it here called it here, select beer.to, and in my web XML, if I'm doing it beer1.html, and I'm cleaning the project. Let me clean the project first. Project clean, and then I'm running it again. Let me check what is the problem. See, now it is printing. Now if I'm doing a submit query, it is saying me the requested is not found. Why? Select beer.to. Why is it saying me that select beer. Okay, this mistake is there. I do not have to give a slash. See, now it is printing me abcemail.com, because the thing is, because whenever I'm giving inside this, there was some wrong with this servlet example. Maybe this has got some error that I do not know, the in the session or in the cookies it was storing somewhere, or with the Eclipse workspace. Now see, this project is working fine. So as it is, I was doing select beer.do, then it was printing me that init param name. So are you clear with this config, or do you have some questions? Monica,
Yes, sir.
It's clear, sir. Yeah.
okay, and Sandeep and Tejashwani?
No, sir, no.
Okay, okay. Now let us check if I had used s- something, or maybe something, if I had used many, another called admin email, or something called main email. something ABC or MNO, or is it, or you can give as something called um something user email MNO ABC, suppose I've given. So you can check the same thing here, that the similar way we can just sys out it in called beer.select. If I'm doing to sys out something called here, from here, the user email, I can give multiple instances, then it is going to print. Now if I'm going to do what I will say, a particular called servlet context. Servlet context, we have seen servlet config. Now if I want to do a servlet context, to get the servlet context, you can have the parameter called, you have this particular, let me go to that web XML, and outside this servlet mapping, or outside this servlet, when you are finishing it here, let us define, see, I'm not defining anything inside any of the servlet, I am defining outside this, that is called context param. And here I'm giving my serv- param name. Suppose param name is something you call user email or admin email I've given, or admin email one, or admin email context I'm giving. And then you have the param value. Suppose the param value is xyz@gmail.com. gmail.com. Now you check, I've given the context param. It is not defined inside your any of the servlet, unlike your init param or something. So let's go to this particular called beer.select, and then let's do it this. This out, and let's do it servlet context, and see how we get it here. Get servlet context I have, that was a config, and same get init parameter, and then we can go with this particular called, where do I have what did I define in the web.xml admin context, see, and the same. Now you check the similar thing, I'm writing it here also in the second servlet that I have created in the servlet 2. Let me write it in second servlet. First I'm calling, as usual, first I'm calling this, let me delete this. Yeah, let me delete. So as usual from beer.1, I'm calling the select beer that, and let's check if it is printing me correctly or not. Let me submit it here itself. See, it is printing me as usual. It is printing me xyz at the email.com. That is from this select. If you can check the HTML, the form that I have submitted. Now let's do the servlet 2. Where it was servlet 2 is mapping is this servlet 2.do. Let me go to there and check if xyz is being printed there or not. And hopefully this time nothing is stored in the cookies, or else I have to write another project to explain this. See, when I am doing it in the second servlet, the first one, you can check, the first one in the servlet 2, it was my config, that was my admin email, and that has been defined. You can see admin email, just the admin email was defined as a init parameter inside this beer.select. Now this servlet context is been defined outside of any servlet, and see it is printing me xyz. It is printing me this particular called xyz. So have you understood the difference between the context param and servlet context and servlet config?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? Because you are not confident saying yes.
Okay, okay.
Any question?
Actually, the
Yeah.
parameters are written anywhere throughout the application, right? For the context.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
But in the config within the servlet, right?
Within that particular servlet that you have defined.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, within, if you have
Mm.
defined it inside your beer select, or then that will be present only in your beer select, but in your context it is going to present in each and every servlet or in your whole application, that you are going to get that servlet context.
Yes, sir. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So suppose this is good. Okay. Now suppose there was a question that should come to your mind, and if we need to do a coding like a database connection that will be common to each and every servlet, we can do it in servlet context. But in servlet context, you can just define the init param or the param name or the param value. Suppose you need to write a separate code that will be common to each and every servlet. So what should you do? You should write a listener. What is a listener? I'm saying a listener is something that will listen to your program, or just whenever you try to deploy the, means whenever you try to deploy this particular project or run this particular project, that particular class, a listener class that I'm saying, is going to listen your code that you have already written. So during the deployment, that code is going to run before your invoking or before the servlet, before the loading of this. Suppose if I had written a code, let me think of it. Mhm. Let us create another project. Okay, let us create another project and let us check. uh, Suppose I'm creating a project name called, let's close this project. uh, Suppose listener example. Okay, I'm finishing it. Yeah, it would have been good. Suppose the listener class, maybe I'm writing a class name called dog.java. Okay, uh, what it will do means I want to get the breed of the dog that has been defined in my context, the breed of the dog, and then I'm going to return the particular called your means our dog I will select, okay, the dog name or something, and it will give me the breed or the breed and it will give me the dog name. Something I'm going to do this. Let me create a class called dog and first let me create this class called dog, and this is going to be my Pojo class. Or let me, I'm doing a mistake here, let me create a package. This is going to be my, going to rename this package that has been defined. To write a new package, suppose I'm giving it example. Suppose this class called dog. Okay, and remember this dog is going to contain my breed, private, string. Remember, whenever you are writing, this is my Pojo class. Whenever you are going to write this particular called breed, this particular breed or this particular thing, then remember you are going to do remember to write it private. This should not be exposed to the whole world. And to access this, you need to write a getter setter. Getter means you need to get the value, retrieve the value, and setter means you need to set the value of this particular variable. So to write the getter setter value, you just go here, go to the source, and you can get, see, the generate getter setter. Just click getter setter, generate getter setter. You can write it on your hand also, and select this breed. Okay, it will get you this get breed and set breed, and check this will be public. So whenever you want to get the breed of this, you will get by calling this method called get breed. It will return you this particular called breed, which is private, and this is going to be, if you are going to set this is going to set the particular value with the breed. So this is my getter setter class or the Pojo class that we were talking about. Now, if we go to the next called a listener class, that will be executed before any servlet is getting loaded inside my this. So first, first let first let me copy the getters. Do I have a web.xml here? No. Let me open this project. Copy the getter setter here. Sorry, web.xml. Let me copy the leaf file, library file, and let me close this project again because I have already taken, see, the dog.java, and let me write a listener class. Whenever you are writing a listener class, remember it implements, the listener class always implements called servlet context listener. This implements my this class. So let me write a listener class. Suppose the listener class should be, I'm writing a Java class. Let me give my servlet context listener the name of this class. I'm going to write this. It's going to implements my this particular, sorry, this is the interface. This is the interface that I need to implement for the listener class. Servlet context listener, and I need to implement whenever this, I need to implement this particular called context destroy and context initiate. So what happens whenever I write something here in the called the context initiate, or give me, let me write an event. So before your server class is loaded or something, this context initially, this context initialized is being done. So let us do write a system this out context initiated or listener class. You need to initiate, you need to write under this. Now I need to get the servlet context, and suppose let me derive this. Let me write a, suppose if I'd give, suppose I would create a servlet name called um, listener tester. Maybe I will create here maybe a listener tester. Let me create it first. This servlet called listener tester. Okay, this listener tester, I'm going to write from again from beginning. It doesn't matter what you give the display name and the description. And I'm going to do, let me delete all these things that I've written. Delete this. Let me have the context param. Let me have this, and let me delete this welcome file. Yes, or let me, I've commented out this, and let me do something called com dot example example dot, my class name was listener tester, and something, if I'm giving it something, listen, maybe the name servlet name as listen, and here the same servlet name, and suppose I'm doing listen.do, the URL pattern that I'm matching. And and let's create this. Let us create, this is my, I've already given, and the context param as something called breed, and you give it as grade. Suppose breed is ABC. Suppose this is the context param I'm doing. Remember the listener class does not belong to this any particular um, servlet, this particular listener class. Remember, this does not belong. So whenever I'm going to run this program, this listener class is going to get loaded and execute accordingly. So to get the param values, I need to define inside my servlet context. So as this does not belong to any particular servlet, rather it belongs to the entire application, the entire servlets. Suppose here I've given the listener class and I'm giving it here something called uh, servlet context, or if you remember the servlet context that we were doing, and that I'm making an object here. I'm going to take get event dot get servlet context, import it, and remember, whenever I'm doing an SC servlet context, this particular will give me the context, this particular context. If you define 10 context params, this servlet is going to store all this object that I have created of the servlet context is going to store all the servlet context params here. Now, if I want to get the dog breed, you could have written something here, a multiple. Let me write a multiple also. Breed 2 maybe, breed 2 is XYZ. You could have written multiple here, but I am rather bothered about this breed. So let me write string dog breed equal to sc dot get init parameter, that is my breed, and then I have created this dog d, this class already a getter setter. Now I am going to do it new dog this I'm going to pass. Did I create a constructor there? I think I need to, I'm creating a constructor itself here. Or rather, it's instead of doing this, I'm just setting, instead of just I've created, now I'm going to set this particular called b dot set breed equal to this dog breed. So you can check this particular called dog breed, and I'm setting it in an attribute. See, sc dot set attribute. Okay, let's check. This is a new thing that has come. Suppose this is also a key pair value. Now I'm setting it here, dog breed called D. Remember this servlet context when we are doing the servlet context, this particular servlet context, whenever I'm writing this object or this is present for the entire application for entire this. So I'm going to do like a set attribute. That means when I'm doing an attribute set and I'm giving a dog these, the value is this particular thing. And if I'm going to give this particular called d dot set dog breed and I'm getting the dog. Now in this particular set, whenever you are doing something called set attribute, suppose if I had given a set attribute another called, this is already the, remember this is the dog object that I am setting. I can set a string also. Suppose my name was Tanuman, that I'm setting it here. And let's check these two I have already set, so this can be present in my entire application. Let's check. Suppose if I had given another class that called listener class, the listener tested that, sorry, I have already created this listener tester. Now this is what a duplicate method. Let's check this. I'm writing it here in the duplicate method, something called response dot set content type. We have already seen we are going to do this. Content type is at your text slash html and print writer out dot response dot get writer. To write something I need to get this object print writer, this is under this, and out dot println something test context attributes set by listener. And again out and here maybe. Now see, I'm giving this way, dog d is equal to, let me cast this dog d and then get servlet context dot get attribute. There I have done a set attribute. Now I'm going to do a get attribute, that is dog. I think I have set the attribute name here. You can check the set the attribute name is set dog that I'm going to take as an object. And also let me take the string name equal to this. Again, you need to do it as a string, or need to do it, need to check whether it's let context get attribute, and this is my name. I need to cast it to string, okay, because this is an object that is returning. Now I need to cast it to the string. So you can check that already where I have set the attributes, I can get the using called the get attributes. Now if I going to print this, print ln, if I'm going to write dogs breed is plus dog dot get breed. Okay, sorry, it's d dot breed. It should be d. Here I've written as d, and also maybe a beer, two beers here maybe, and my name also. Let me print my name. And let's start this server. Run a server application. This I need to remove. Run is this as a server. The thing is, I haven't written any resources here. I haven't done any resources. So it is going to give me, now it is going to give me an error. But if you can check, let me write a beer example also so that I can invoke in my do get or the do post. Let me bring this beer.html. Beer.html. I'm going to write this get. Okay. And this is the servlet I have done. Listen.do. Here, listen.do. I'm invoking it. Listen.do. And I'm doing nothing. Listen.do. And suppose I'm doing something wrong. I think I need to do it post. Let us check. And this particular, just wait a minute. I could have done this, right? I could have done listen or test. Listen. What do? I written already. Just wait a minute. Inwave.xml listen.do was already there. Okay, it's better for me to write in this way. Where it is, the beer.xml. Let me copy this and give me. I had already this. And then let me run this. And let me do this. What it is saying me? Pointer exception. Get. Why do get when I'm doing a null pointer exception? Why it is going to give me a null pointer exception? This under two. This is my class. Let me do this. And let me run this. See, I'm getting high class. I'm getting a null pointer exception. Let me check where now I'm debugging my code. Let us check how this code is being debugged. This is okay response f6. This is okay f6. Okay, okay. Has it not worked? Okay, okay. See, I'm happy that I got a null pointer exception here. This d is your null. You can check when I'm doing it a null dot this. I'm happy that I did a mistake here. For your listener class, for yeah, for your listener class to be invoked, okay, to be invoked your listener class. Remember this. For your listener class that you need to do, you need to give this particular in your web.xml. For your listener class to be invoked, you need to give this entry called listener and the listener class name. So it is my com dot example dot. You can check what was my serve. Let me copy this. Otherwise, again. Whenever I'm giving mentioning it in this is my listener class, and I have created a listener class. Now you check this. This is my bad that I haven't given this entry, and I'm happy that I got this error. See, I had to give this startup or this. They need to know this. Okay, which is my listener class. You can check. You can check one thing now here. While I'm running this program, see this listener class. See this. I am printing it. So while running this class, it is loading this particular class. Have you checked? Again, I'm giving a listener class something called something listener class something. My name Tanuman again here. See now, whenever I need to give, I need to tell the compiler, I need to tell it, okay, which is my listener class. For that, we need to give this entry called listener, and then you have called this listener class. Then you have this listener. Now it is going to my listener class. See the listener class that I have implemented, and here I'm going to give and I'm going to set the attributes. So whenever I'm running this program, when I'm deploying it, this listener class is going to get executed See, before, hope you have seen already, if I'm going to go to the console, you can see the listener class is being executed there itself. So you can write your code there, you can do anything. Now if I'm submitting a query, you can see the name and this particular called ABC is being printed. So this is the listener class. Before, if you want to do something, I suppose I've given a dog name or dog breed that I'm going to take from the init parameter, means in the context parameter that I have defined. From here you can check the context parameter that I am taking. Suppose when you are writing a database, or you are writing, means connecting to the database, you can give the database name, table, everything in the context parameter. Write your program. If you remember the JDBC that we have written, write that particular program with the listener class has the username, password, table name, connections, everything there. You take it from your this particular called servlet context that you have. Then you are going to set in an attribute, set this in an attribute. Okay, and if you want to use this particular SQL queries or this, just do a get attribute here. If I go to the my this, how I'm getting it, just by doing a get servlet context dot get attribute that I have set it here. So is this clear, this listener class, or you have any questions?
Yes, it's clear. But what's the difference between the previous method and this method, sir?
Which method?
Like
This
you have written only servlet, right? Of servlet.java, the configure file and the context file.
I'm not getting the. This is servlet.java. This is listener tester.java. Yeah, and
The previous example you have shown, the servlet project 2.
okay.
So
See,
what's the purpose of this listener specially?
listener is something you can write your Java code here, but you cannot write your Java code in this particular web.xml. Suppose I told you that JDBC, if you want to get it right, you need to write your something. You need to write your connection con. You need to create that connection. Those are present inside your Java. So inside this, see, I've written inside. This is not a particular method. This is, I have just defined a key pair value here. Just a key pair value. It's nothing more than I can do there. I cannot write a Java program. Suppose in your listener class, you can do anything. A Java program, a Java thing like something. If I have shown you, suppose you need to do a means database connection. Okay, how can you do it from here? If you want to do it in your web.xml, you can create this particular called, you can only give the username or the password, but you need to create a connection. You need to use your, if you remember the JDBC, or suppose you need to, before your your application starts, okay, you need to calculate some data, you need to manipulate some data, okay, and you need to use something. So you can do it here. You can do your Java program, you write your Java program particularly in this context initialize, and then you do it. Gives you more flexibility here. But here, see, here also, particular here also, I've used, if you go to here, here also I've used the context params that I'm taking as a breed. Or suppose if I had given it here a name, it's better. Like if I had given it my name here, name, and Tanuman here, it gives you more flexibility in your Java programs to listen your something. I could have directly taken it from here instead of writing this shortcut. This, suppose I could have taken it from here, string name, and then I could have given it my name here, and then I could have stored the name, and it would have printed me the same. In this web.xml, in init parameters or something, you can already store a key pair value. this context param or context this, you can store a key pair value. But if you want to do some manipulation with this particular values or the names or the attributes, any particular manipulation, you need to write your Java program. You are going to write in your listener. This is also a Java class. This particular listener is your Java class. You can write your Java program here. You can do anything here, means what your program desires. Suppose I told you a database connection, you need to write a connection con. How could you write in your web.xml this connection con? Or you need to write to a file before suppose before starting this servlet, you need to write to a file and send that file to an email to somebody. See, I'm going to execute this batch or this program. Okay, I'm executing just an email. So what you can do, you can just write a file name or email here and send it from your Java class, and then you start with your program.
Okay, sir.
Is
Yeah.
it clear? Is it
Yes, sir.
clear that it gives you more flexibility actually?
Yes, sir.
You can write your Java class and everything here. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other question?
No, sir. Yeah.
Okay, Tejashwani, Sandeep, Anusha, any other question?
Yes. No, sir.
Okay, so next classes, I'm going to go with your listener class. Listeners, we have finished more with your attributes, and we will also see how to synchronize you have different threads, you have different, but you need to synchronize your this whole servlets. How to go? We are going to do yours that particular called servlet context. These synchronized methods. We will check accordingly of these synchronized methods. Okay, and if you have
Okay.
any questions, please ask me or tomorrow anytime. Okay, and remember, this listener class just listens before my servlet. And the first example, Monica, what I had shown you, it was just an, means I have enhanced this project to, just I was explaining how this context param and this, and now with the listener I have enhanced the particular example that I was showing in the servlet project 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, yeah, bye. As of now, we will meet tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.